Hi, I'm John Hinchey, and in this video looking at Dorico from the perspective of those of us who know Sibelius very well, we'll be looking at the equivalents for text. In the first video, we discovered that Dorico categorizes lines and symbols not as to their visual representation as a line or a shape, but as to their function in the score and parts. The same approach is taken with text. In Dorico, I selected bar 1 and click on Allegro in the tempo panel, or use the popover for tempo. It's Shift T. Start typing Allegro and you'll see a list of all the similar tempo words and select the one you want. While the cursor is blinking, you can also change the metronome marking. You can type in what you want. For example, rock quarter note equals 120. We haven't talked about the lower zone before. This is the area where you can tweak many parameters of your notation elements. For example, select our tempo marking, and let's say I want to change it to funky, quarter equals 140. Open the lower zone, and under tempo, text, I'll type funky and change the tempo BPM to 140. The dynamics panel is where you go for what is called expression text in Sibelius. You can also use the popover Shift D. The repeat structures panel is one that took me off guard at first, but I now see the logic of it. It has form repeats such as first and second ending. The repeat jump section has DS, DC, and such. But here is where you also find note repeats, including tremolos, rhythm slashes, and repeat bars. You can also use the popover Shift R. The Playing Techniques panel and its popover Shift P is one you will use a lot for those instructions you used to type in with technique text in Sibelius. As you'll see, it's divided into categories, common, and then by instrument families. Which brings us to the question of, what if I just need a one-off text item attached to a staff or system? I thought you'd never ask. In Dorico, select the staff or note and go to the right menu, Create Text, Default Text. You can also use the key command Shift X. In Sibelius, if you want to globally edit the appearance of a text style, you would go to the Text tab, click on the Edit box, and find the text style, and then edit the size, appearance, etc. The equivalent in Dorico is called paragraph styles. In Sibelius, chord symbols, lyrics, rehearsal marks, and bar numbers have special properties, and the same is true in Dorico. For chord symbols, select a bar, and then from the right menu select Create Chord Symbols, or use the popover Shift Q. At this point, similar to Sibelius, you can play the chords in from a MIDI keyboard or type the chords in. To input lyrics in Sibelius, you select a note and type Command L, and then type in the lyrics. It's a similar process in Dorico. Select a note, go to the right menu, select Create Lyrics, or use the popover Shift L, and then type in the lyrics. As for bar numbers, like Sibelius, the bar numbers in the score and parts will always match numerically. To edit bar number options in Sibelius, you'd go to Engraving Rules. In Dorico, the equivalent is found in Layout Options. In Dorico, to define the appearance of rehearsal marks, go to Engraving Options, Rehearsal Marks. To put a rehearsal mark in your score, select a bar and use the popover Shift A. Here's one big difference in the behavior of text in Dorico that Sibelius users will need to get used to. In Sibelius, after you've input a piece of text, you can click on that text and slightly change its position by dragging. In Dorico, when you're in write mode and you click and drag a dynamic, it will snap to the next note or bar. To make what I'd call tweaks to text in Dorico, you need to switch to engrave mode. In engrave mode, you can't delete or alter the contents of any text. You need to switch back to write mode to do that. To review, staff and system text in Dorico is categorized by function rather than as a generalized text, and you'll find much of what is commonly staff-attached text in Sibelius in the Playing Techniques panel in the right zone of Dorico. System text for tempo is found in the tempo panel of the right zone in Dorico. Chord symbols and lyrics are input very similarly to Sibelius using popovers Shift Q and Shift L. Bar numbers are set up in layout options. To tweak text position, switch to engrave mode. Page text, such as title, composer, headers, and footers, are handled very differently in Dorico. It's best to discuss that topic in relation to engraving mode and page layout, and that is what I will cover in the next video.